Good morning, participants. I understand that yesterday you have done your entrepreneurship and skills acquisition. Today we'll be looking at Module 2, which entails feasibility study and business plan. We'll do feasibility study in the first session and business plan in the second session. Now, on your own, you can try what a feasibility study is. Try differentiating between feasibility study and business plan, and also the reason why you should do a feasibility study. You can send it to us on the chat, but then while we go ahead, you will see what feasibility study means, the difference between feasibility study and business plan, and also the reason why you should do feasibility study. Now let's look at what a feasibility study is. But before then, this is the outline that we have. First, we'll be looking at feasibility study and a feasible business. Then we'll look at feasibility study objectives, their importance and shortcomings. Then we'll go about how to write a feasibility study. And of course, we'll see the components of a feasibility study. Now, what is a feasibility study? It is an analysis of the viability of an idea. Viability there is another word for feasibility. If the idea is sustainable, if the idea can stand, that is what the analysis of an idea should be. If your idea is feasible, the analysis that you do to see if your idea is feasible is feasibility study. Feasibility study focuses on helping answer the essential question. What is this essential question? Should we proceed with the proposed project idea? You have an idea, and when you conduct your feasibility study, it should help you know if you should proceed with your project idea. Feasibility study looks at the viability of an idea with an emphasis on identifying potential problems and attempts to answer one main question. What is this one main question? Will the idea work, and should you proceed with it? Let's look at what a feasible business is. A feasible business is one where the business will generate adequate cash flow and profits. Nobody goes into a business without the idea of making profits. In fact, even the definition of business is making profits. And a feasible business is one where business will withstand the risks it will encounter. There are no business that won't encounter risk, but the business becomes a feasible one if it can withstand the risks it encounters. A feasible business is one where the business will remain viable in the long term. You don't expect to come up with a business and in 5 years you're folding up. So if the business is sustainable in the long term, then it is a feasible business. And of course, a feasible business is one where the business will meet the goals of the founders. You set up a business and you have your goals. One of those goals will be profit maximization. Another goal is to solve the essential problem. For instance, is a lack of water or lack of social amenity power supply, and your business is to provide these social amenities, and then your business is unable to meet the goals, then it is not yet a feasible business. It should be able to meet the goals of the founder. Now, for any business idea that you have, whatever business idea that you have, you should conduct a feasibility study. Why? To determine the viability of your idea before proceeding with the development of a business. Feasibility studies addresses things like where and how the business will operate. When you conduct your feasibility study, it will help you to know where and how your business will operate. Because location and the processes of a business is a major factor that affects how businesses run. And we have looked at feasibility study as an analysis of the viability of a business. So for you to know if your business is viable, your feasibility study will address where will this business operate and how the business will operate. It also provides in-depth details about the business to determine if and how it can succeed. Feasibility studies serve as a valuable tool for developing a winning business plan. You want to write your business plan? With your feasibility study, it's going to help you write a great winning business plan. Feasibility studies can be used in many ways, but primarily focus on proposed business ventures. Apart from that, when you are in a business and you want to expand, you want to diversify, you also need to have a feasibility study. But like we said, it focused primarily on proposed business ventures. Let's look at the objectives of feasibility study. One of the objectives is raise funding. When you do your feasibility study, is to allow you have an avenue to raise funding. Also satisfy the requirement of grant awarding bodies. Satisfy the directors that the project is viable. Determine the optimum facility mix to maximize revenue. Ensure that all parties agree on the key elements of a project. Form the basis of initial market and project planning. And in some cases, provide the argument for business closure or change of use applications and planning appeals. I will go over it again. The objectives of feasibility study: one is to raise funding. Whichever business that you have, if it's viable, you will need funding. Whatever your idea is, it will need funding. And of course, when you want to raise funding, grant awarding bodies are available for funding. Also, loans are given out too. So even your creditors and grant awarding bodies want to see your feasibility study, and they will have their requirements. So after your feasibility study, it will satisfy the requirements of these grant awarding bodies and also your creditors. Then the directors of a project, the feasibility study will satisfy them to show that your business is actually viable. And also your feasibility study will determine the optimum facility mix to maximize revenue. What and what are you supposed to put together so that your revenue will be maximized? Another objective is to ensure that all parties agree on the key elements of a project. What are the key elements of your project? From your cost, to your expenditure, your cash flow, your profit, your strategy, all that elements of that project will be ensured that all parties agree. And this objective also form the basis of initial market and project planning. It will allow you to know how to go about your initial market and your project planning. In some cases, objective of feasibility study provide the argument for business closure. Like we looked at feasibility study that it focused primarily on new business ventures. It's also used when you want to diversify or when you want to close your business. You do a feasibility study and then you provide the argument for business closure or change of use application and planning appeals. The end result of a feasibility study should be statement of revenue and expenditure for the first 5 years of the project, clearly showing the links between the markets and the forecast. From this statement will then follow balance sheet, cash flow forecast, and estimates of project value upon completion. Let's look at shortcomings of feasibility studies. Most times when people do feasibility studies, they will have issues with overestimated market potentials, because you heard that people buy phones. Now you want to go into the business of phones. You say you are going to generate a lot of profit, and that is going to be a viable business and is going to stand the test of time, without looking at some of the factors that will affect the market potentials. Underestimated competition. Because you see other people doing it, you say, okay, I can go into this business and do it very well, because you have checked out your competitors. After checking your competitors, and then you see that your competition is not as heavy as you thought about it, but then it is quite more than what you thought about. So one of the shortcomings is underestimated competition. Another shortcoming is planned capacities not compatible with market size. Now you want to set up a phone shop and you want it in the village, but you want it as big as house slot is. That capacity is not compatible with your market size, because that village, the number of persons who can even afford those phones are not available. And then you are selling at a very high, you are selling your product with a lot of product at a time, that the number of people who will purchase and your turnover and your cash flow will be less. Another shortcoming is underestimated importance of management and manpower skills. Most times you see people set up business as less skilled, like car wash. You go and bring your people from the village to come and do the work because they are unemployed, without knowing that there is an importance in management and manpower skills. Before you know, the business is running at a loss. Before you know it, that's because you have actually underestimated the importance of management and manpower skills. Another shortcoming is market projections based on insufficient data. You have not conducted a good feasibility study, you have very few data to back up your studies, and you agree that you can go into this business, that the business is already viable. At that, you may have problems. Availability of infrastructure and other local services. You want the space for your business. You also want other local services, the technical know-how for your plants. Like these things are already there. You find out that you have problems when your PPE crushes down. That's your plant, your property, plant, and equipment. When there is a crash in it, you may not have the services to put them in proper shape. So these are the shortcomings of feasibility studies. screen. It's my screen. So we have seen the shortcomings of studies. Now let's feasibility study. Now when you do your feasibility study, the information you gather and present in your feasibility study will help you list in details all the things you need to make the business work. So when you do your feasibility study, it will help you. You are going to analyze, list in details, just like we said that feasibility study is an analysis of the viability of a business. So when you do your feasibility study, it will help you list in detail all the things you need to make the business work. It will also help you identify logistical and other business related problems, and the solutions will be there because you have. It will help you develop marketing strategies to convince a bank or investor that your business is worth considering as an investment. Remember when we looked at the objectives of feasibility study, we say one of them is raise funding. So when you conduct your feasibility study, it will help you to convince a bank or investor that your business is worth considering as an investment. It will also help you serve as a solid foundation for developing business plan. When we talked about the feasibility study, going to help you to develop a winning business plan. So here we are seeing it again as an importance of feasibility study, as it serves as a solid foundation for developing your business plan. How to go about the feasibility study. Before you begin feasibility study, before you begin writing your feasibility study, you have to identify how, where, and to whom you intend to sell a service or product. They may know about where, but they may also know about how, but to whom is quite a problem. For instance, there are some products that does not cut across the same gender, that does not cut across the same age, the same class, but there are some products that cut across, like water, food, but not all kinds of service or product cut across all types of gender and the others. For instance, if you intend to put up a service of a barber shop or a beauty shop, the people you intend to sell to whom you intend to sell this service to, if it's a barber shop, you know definitely it has to be more of male than female. You have female in a very rare numbers. So you need to identify that. Where do you want to situate your barber shop or your beauty shop? For instance, is your location going to be where people close at night and the place will be devoid of people? Or is going to be in an area where people can come in 24/7? How do you intend to render this service? What are going to be your tools? What are going to be your logistical and your tactical method that you're going to use for this business? So your feasibility study, before you write it, you identify how you are going to go about this business, where you are going to sell, and to whom you intend to sell this service or product. Then you also assess your competition, which is key. Remember when we looked at shortcomings of feasibility studies, where we talked about underestimated competition. So you need to assess your competition properly so that you don't have a shortcoming in your feasibility study. Then also you need to figure out how much money you need to start your business and keep it running until it is established. I remember in the earlier slide when we talked about your business being available for 5 years. What we looked at after you start your business and to keep it running, one year the feasibility study May. This is full blown feasibility. I remember in the earlier 5 years, what we looked at after how much you need to start your business. Pre-feasibility study like business relevant scenarios of your own. Why? Because it's more feasible, it will save you time and money. If your findings lead you to proceed with a feasibility study, your work may have resolved some basic issues, like how much you need and all that, all the stress, the tactical, the operation, whom and where to sell to, or where, how, all that will be resolved already. And when you want to do your pre-feasibility study, a consultant may help you with a pre-feasibility study, but don't leave it for him alone or her, don't leave it for the consultant alone. You should be involved. Why? What type of industry it is, the current market, how much is it selling at, the anticipated future market potential, at what percentage is the market growing. Let's say your business, as at now, the industry is worth 20 billion. At what rate is the growth of the business? So the anticipated future market potential will be included in your market feasibility. Competition. Who are the major key players in this business? You have to name them. For instance, if you are doing a furniture business or sales of vehicle, you know your competitions will be people like Costarish, Stallion Vehicles, Lanre Shitu, and the rest of them. So you need to identify your competition and see how you can penetrate the market. Then sales projection. How much do you expect to sell in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Your sales projection will be there in your market feasibility. Then potential buyers. These services I'm about to render, or this product that I found and I want to put out there, who are the potential buyers? You need to identify that. We shall look at that in more details as we go ahead. Then your technical feasibilities. This tells us how you will deliver a product or services. How will you deliver a product or service? Materials that you need, the labor, the transportation of your materials, the transport cost, all the costs that you need to is intending. Where your business will be located, the kind of technology that is needed, etc. These ones are your technical feasibility. Then also financial feasibility is another component of feasibility study. Projects how much startup capital is needed. We looked at that at the pre-feasibility study. How much capital, startup capital is needed? And what is your source of capital? Is it from your personal savings? Is your source of capital from soft loan from families and friends? Is your source of capital from a bank or grant awarding bodies? Then also your return on investment. This one is quite interesting because if I investing in your business, as you know, is one of the key things to be included in your organizational feasibility. This one who are involved in this business, so the founders, and what skills can CEO, you have your directors and all the people you are putting in your business. You need to identify what they can contribute it won't work. You need people who have professional background in business and in financial institutions. Then you also write your conclusion. Your conclusion discusses how the business can succeed. Now, one of the things that brings problem to people, they are not honest in their assessment. But when you write your conclusion, you have to be honest in your assessment, because investors won't just look at your conclusion. They will also look at the data and will question your conclusion if they are unrealistic. So if you are honest and your data is real, conclusion if they are unrealistic, then your investors can understand that your business is actually prediction. You need to know your target population. For instance, if I am putting up a sales of pharmaceutical products, my target population. Now, the market analysis know your target population. Is it, for instance, if I am putting up a efficacy ratio, because many children between 0 to 15 take more drugs than people between 15 to 60, and then people between 60 and above takes more drugs, then your market segmentation. If you're setting up a business that is inclined for women, then you should identify your gender part of it. Then the mid class, the availability of funding. The people you are selling to are then the wealthy ones. Population will majorly what class of people do you intend to sell to? Women, then you should sell to are then the wealthy ones. For children, is your product for adults, is your product for the centenarian, which is that. So you need to identify your market segmentation. Then your target market segment strategy. What strategy are you using to get this market segment? What strategy have you used? Then also your competitive analysis. How many of them are there that are going to compete, that are competing in this business, that have been there before you are coming in? You need to identify that in your market analysis. Then also your competition and buying patterns. What I call SWOT, the strength, weakness, opportunities, and your challenges. You will identify that in your market analysis. Now let's look at your technical analysis. Remember we told you about your labor, your transportation, the technology needed, and all that, and where to sell this. So how many of them are there? This business that have been there before you're coming. What I call SWOT, the strength, weakness, opportunity, the location of where you want, you identify that in your market and not your business to be. We talked about feasibility study, identifying. Let's look at your technical analysis. So there is fixed assets, the technology needed, and the business or the product, your fixed assets and equipment. If you look at the blue highlight here, serial number, you say 1, type of fixed assets and equipment that you want. Is it land? Is it a power generator? Is it desktop computers? What do you want? You name the type. How many of them do you want? That's the number required. How much does it cost? And then the total. Let me give you, for instance, if I'm setting up a cyber cafe, Serial number 1, types. I need, what type of equipment do I need? I will now put the printing and stationaries. Then number required, I will have, let's say 5 of them for my printers. Cost, how much cost do I need? Let's say one of the printer is 100,000 and I said I need 5 of them. My total will be 500,000. So you list out all your fixed assets and equipment because this is going to help you in your financial analysis. Then you go to your supplier and your suppliers. Who are you buying this equipment from? Am I getting it from HP? Am I getting it from Xerox? Am I getting it from Microsoft? Who are my supplier and my suppliers? Also, what kind of raw materials am I using and who is my supplier? Then your personnel plan. Remember we talked about the people that you need in your business. Serial number 1, what position? The CEO. What's the qualification and experience? You write out the qualification. You write it, then the annual salary. How much in total? For instance, serial number 1, what it should be good indeed, it should have minimum of position. I want 1. How much am I paying him? 700,000. How much annually? $700,000 times 12. That will now give us raw materials. What and what are you using for your production, for your product? Then you put that. Then you see the blue highlight there. Normally, 700,000 times you have that. Then your raw material, the blue highlight there. In that case, the number of people that you have employed or you intend to put in your personnel, you calculate the amount and then you put in this total under your project investment cost. Then your pre-operational expenses, which goes with your raw materials, and that will now come in your pre-operational expenses. Then your total, after adding all of them, will give you a total for your project investment cost. Then your sales projection for 1 year. What services do you provide? And in what batches do you provide them? Number of garments, price per unit, total sales, and annual sales will make up for your financial analysis. Then your organizational analysis. Just like we said, this involves questions such as whether the system has enough support to be implemented successfully, whether it brings an excessive amount of change, and whether the organization is changing too rapidly to absorb it. So now, these questions that I'm going to ask, if it's, you can send us in the chat to review what we have done on the feasibility study. 1 is, should every business have a feasibility plan? You want to do a business, should every business have a feasibility plan? 2, what is the relevance and importance of a feasibility plan. 3. From this lesson, which aspect of the feasibility plan can you prepare? You have your financial analysis, your technical analysis, your description of business, your market analysis. Which one can you prepare? Then 4, for which aspect would you require help of others? So I'm looking forward to see the answers to the review questions while we take a break before we go into business plan. Thank you. Okay. Taufik, you wanted to ask question? Then I guess that I'm not guessing. I think I will have to say that it is well understood. All right. Now this is going to bring us to okay. Destiny.
Hello. Good morning.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
What's your question?
Please, I it's not really a question, but the network, or should I say, the audio feedback here is very poor. I've been complaining, as in, they have been logging me off and on. I'm following. I just hear fragments. Hello. I don't know whether it's from my side or your side.
Okay, the audio.
I've been logging.
But how is the audio now?
Audio is good from here, maybe from your end, Destiny. Destiny, if you can hear us, yeah, and if you can access us on Zoom, like we advised yesterday, try joining through the YouTube. Able to participate.
Yaro na da haka zai dinga sace su t-shirt ne na ruwa. Amma duk lokacin da kana ganin the tie, the suit, ko sisi ba shi da gefe, ko za ka ga yana sa su.
Thank you for staying around. Now, this is section 2. We will be doing business plan. Now, we have seen feasibility study, and then we talked about feasibility study being the basis for you to have a winning business plan. So if you can prepare a good feasibility study just like we have discussed, then your business plan will be a winning one. Now let's look at some of the outline for a business plan. One is your executive summary. Executive summary usually comes the last. When you have written your business description, your mission statement, your business concept, strategy and value proposition, market summary and competition, your competitive advantage, your SWOT, your risk, resource planning and team, your financial projection. Then you come to your executive summary and then you put all the summaries. Remember when we talked about feasibility study and then we said that one of the components is the description of your business. So when you have done your feasibility study, most times it's just to extract what you have and bring them into your business plan. So for a business plan, your goals, the strategy, your team, the ideas, innovation, marketing, performance, the competition, all is going to sum up to your business plan. Like I told you, the first is the executive summary. Now, your executive summary is going to talk about where your business should be situated. For instance, if I'm setting up Delvin's Technology Institute, I'm going to talk about Delvin Technology Institute to be located at so and so, and that it is will generate this, will need this kind of. So that time you must have your business description and all that, and it's going to be easy for you to put that down in your executive summary. And your executive summary, you can also explain the industry which you are about to venture into. And while explaining that, you can even talk about the current market potential of your business. If it's sales of produce, yam and all the other goods, whether perishable or not, you can talk about how much is what and how much you are expecting the industry to what in next year or the percent. Then you have to put that down in your executive summary. Just like I told you, is a summary of all you have put down in the various components of your business plan. After your executive summary, we talked about the business description and the mission statement. For anyone who has done their feasibility study, the components of your feasibility study, we said it has the business description. Now, in your business description and mission statement, you describe the business. And when you are describing the business, this may carry more details, where you talk about what is the business about, what kind of services are you rendering, and what kind of product are you going to sell, and what problems is your business trying to solve. So you identify that when you describe your business. And then in your mission statement, you clearly state your company's long-term mission. What is your long-term mission? What are you planning to do with this your business idea? Are you just coming to sell and buy and go? So you try to use words that will help direct the growth of your company, but be as concise as possible. For instance, if I'm into the sales of produce, just like I earlier said, and I sell yam and perishable goods like tomatoes and all that, my mission may be that I want to be exporting produce from Nigeria to other countries in the world. So that would be a long-term mission, because when you begin to export, it's not just selling within Nigeria, but also selling across the globe. And that will be a long-term mission. Then your business concept, strategy, and value proposition. What is the efficiency of your business? The quality, speed, cost, all that entails in your strategy, your value proposition, and then your business concept. Others have been selling their products before, the produce, but now you are coming in. What is your strategy? How efficient can this your business be? What technology are you about to use? What is the new concept on which your business is based? How is it different from what they've been doing before? So you may say, okay, you want to use another medium of transportation. You want people to pre-order online, so you don't take your goods from here to, let's say, you are selling in Port Harcourt and you are conveying your goods from Maiduguri. You don't just take your goods to Maiduguri. You already have a platform on the internet where people order this food immediately and then it is brought to them. That's a kind of business concept, is a kind of strategy that business. So in your business concept, in your strategy and value proposition, you try as much as possible to identify this so that it will differ from what others have been doing. Then your market summary and your competition. You summarize your market in the past. In the past, what have they been selling? How much have they been selling? What is the present market? And what is the future market? For instance, I can say that in the olden days, they don't have much transport efficiency. Therefore, to take food from one part of the country to another takes a long time. And in fact, it is difficult because within the long distance to come and access this produce. So that's in the past. But presently, these produce are conveyed using motor vehicle from one end to another to reach their customers. But now the future is going to be that your customers will identify what they want and then they pre-order so that you take it to them. Therefore, at that point, they may even pay for the delivery cost such that you lift yourself some burdens of transportation and other costs that brings your produce to the condition and location intended by the management. So you review those changes in market share, how many people are the key players, how much were they getting, the leadership, who are the ones playing this game, the players, the market shift, how is it going forth, the cost, how much is transportation, how much is delivery goods, what allowance have you made for contingencies, then your pricing, what prices are you giving? Others have been giving at 5 naira. Are you ready to give at 3.5 naira or 4 naira less than what others are giving? Or the competition that provide the opportunity for your company's success? What competitions provide opportunity for your company's success? This will be market summary and your competition. If you have done your good market analysis from your feasibility study, it is just to extract part of this and then a little more flesh in your market summary and competition. Now your competitive advantage. What do you have that your competitors may not have. That is your competitive advantage. Unique resources and core competencies that are difficult to replicate or imitate. That's the adaptation and the flexibility. Just like we are talking about sales of produce. Let's say, for instance, people who are into the sales of produce before, they take these goods to their prospective buyers, and the buyers always tell them that, no, this tomato is bad, I can't buy it, you have to return it. But if you have an advantage where you are using technology, you and your prospective buyer, they have already seen the tomatoes from where they are, and then you deliver to them at their point. There's no point saying these tomatoes are not good, these yams are not good, that you can return. It reduces your cost. It makes you better than other people who are into this business before, all the players. So what you have identified that gives you that competitive advantage, what is it that you have that your competitors may not have? What is this unique thing that nobody can do, except it takes them a very long time? Because you already created a platform where your prospective buyers can connect to you online, see whatever they want to buy, and then the goods are delivered to them at the particular time they want it. I'm not trying to look for you around in the market, finding it difficult to have. Is this unique to what others have? Can it be difficult for them to replicate? So when you have this, it becomes your competitive advantage. Then your SWOT analysis. SWOT, S here means your strength. Where is your strength based? You identify where your strength is. What are the weaknesses? You identify where your weaknesses are. Then your opportunities. You identify your opportunities. Then your threat. You identify your threat. Like in Nigeria, for instance, the common threat that everybody has is that startup business are not always booming because of some kind of factors. Let's say multiple taxations and all that is a threat in Nigeria for startup businesses. Then weakness. Where are your weaknesses? Is it because you're a startup? Is people are finding it difficult to identify with you that your product or your services is well welcomed in the industry? So you need to know that. Then your strength. Is it that your product or your service is way better than what your competitors have earlier, and therefore it is your strength in the industry? Then your opportunities. Before now, they were going about selling their goods, conveying from one end to another, but you don't convey like them. You convey as they pre-order, knowing your potential buyers before you supply. Then your risk. What are the risks this business are going to face? When you summarize the risks they are going to face, then you now identify how they will be addressed. If the risks they are going to face is that when you travel from here between Maiduguri to Lagos, taking your produce from Maiduguri to Lagos, that there are people who stop produce on the way. Those are some of the risks. Then some of the risks are hoodlums or bandits that may attack you on the way to take your produce. If you have identified these risks, how can they be addressed? You no longer use road, or you supply in lesser quantity. So you summarize the risks of the proposed project, and then also how these risks will be addressed. Then your resource planning. Just like we've been stating, using technology to apply in business, how will you deploy this technology into your business? Then your finances is part of your resources. Your distribution. How much prospective buyers do you have? Those are part of your resource. Then your promotion. How and who are you communicating with? And how come they know about you as being one of the supplier of produce in the industry? Then your products. How do you get your product? How do you put up your product together? You remember when we're doing our technical analysis in feasibility study. We talked about how you get your raw materials and all that. So that after the feasibility study is going to be easy for you to bring up how are they going to be rendered, who and who is helping you out. So you plan your resources, and then this will be detailed in your business plan. Then your team. Remember when we talked about list of personnel in feasibility study? When you have that already, is to move them to your what? Your business plan. You list the CEO and the key management by name. Who is the CEO, managers, the directors of finance, the accountant, all your team, the one that are key management, you list them by name. Then you include previous accomplishment. This accountant that you have put in your business, what has he accomplished? Has he served in the bank before? Has he served in an auditing firm? Has he been into business solutions? Has he been into consulting for business development? Those kind of accomplishments, you put them down so that they will see that they are people of record of success. Then the number of years. If this accountant has had experience for 5, 10 years, 15 years, you now put it down in your list of team. Now we are going to look at your financial projection. Your financial projection outline a high-level financial plan that defines your financial model and pricing assumption. So when you are doing your financial projection, how much are you putting into the business? How much is your return on investment? And how is your cash flow? Now this will allow you to know how much you can sell your product and how much profit you can make. So this is how the table of content of a business plan looks like. The executive summary, the company description, where in the company description you have the company description main, product and service description. Both will be embedded in the company description. Then your market plan, where you have your SWOT analysis. Remember I said SWOT, S is for strength, W is for weakness, O for opportunities, and T is for threat. Then your competitor data collection. How many people are into this business that you know? You get all their names and then you put them in your market plan. Then your competitive analysis. How are you going to thrive in this business? What have they been doing before that you are now about to do? This is where your competitive advantage comes in. Your marketing expenses strategy. How are you going to market these goods with less expenses so that you minimize cost of sales, then you can maximize your revenue? Then also your pricing strategy. Remember when we said your competitors are selling at 5 naira, how much are you going to sell and why are you selling at that price? Are you going to sell at 6 naira to prove to people that you have a better product, or you are going to sell at 4 naira so that your target market can afford it? Then your distribution channel assessment. How are you going to distribute this? Are you the wholesaler and then you are giving it to the retailer and then they distribute to the consumer, or you are both a wholesaler and a retailer that you meet directly with the consumers? Then the next will be now be your operational plan and risk analysis. Remember when we talked about you conveying goods from one point to another? That is your operational plan. You intend to convey goods from one end of the country to another, from where it is being produced to where it is needed. Now, while you are doing your operational plan, what are the risks you are bound to face? Breakdown of vehicle, vehicle collision, banditry, and all that kind of risk. You put that down, and then how it is going to be addressed, all that to be in your operational plan and the risk analysis. Then the next is your management and organization. Who are the key players in this your organization? Who is the CEO? Who are the key management? Then you put your chart. Who is at the top? Who is at the next level? So you have to see if you have a flat organization chart or you have a step organization chart. You have to put that down in your management and organization. Then your financial plan. After your financial plan, then your appendices. Now we are going to look at the financial plan, basically your cash flow forecast. Cash flow records money flowing in and out of the business. That is what cash flow is. So for your cash flow forecast is going to record money that flows in and out of the business. Why do you do this? It's going to help you show your investors that you are